Get ready for a clash of titans. Fabiano Caruana with the white pieces takes on Ivan Saric in a deep, strategic battle. The players dive into the Ruy Lopez, one of the most storied and complex openings in all of chess. We see the ultra-classical mainline of the Spanish game. Both sides develop their pieces logically, staking their claim in the center and preparing for the long fight ahead. The opening moves are complete. White castles and brings a rook to the e-file, while black develops and challenges white's ambitious bishop. And here, Caruana plays the superb bishop to b3. It might look simple, but the engine confirms this is the only move to keep a lasting advantage, perfectly preparing to challenge black's center. The position settles into a typical closed Ruy Lopez structure. Both players maneuver carefully, improving their pieces and preparing for the central pawn breaks that will define the middle game. Caruana strikes in the center with the pawn to d5, grabbing space and forcing black's knights to reroute. Saric begins to seek counterplay on the queen side, challenging white's structure. A flurry of pawn trades on the queen side opens up the b-file for both sides, and the strategic repositioning continues as the tension builds. Wow! Out of nowhere, Saric unleashes the brilliant knight to c5. This is a stunning piece sacrifice aiming to shatter white's coordination and create chaos on the board. Caruana accepts the challenge, immediately capturing with bishop takes knight on f6, and this is the essential follow-up. Saric plays bishop takes bishop on f6, a great move and the only way to justify the sacrifice and keep full compensation. And now we see black's idea. The pieces coordinate beautifully to attack white's bishop on b5, and Saric is about to win his material back with interest. But Caruana has a thunderbolt of his own. The knight jumps to b3, a brilliant counter-sacrifice to defuse all of black's pressure. Black must take with bishop takes bishop on b5, and after knight takes knight on c5, the fireworks are over. The position has simplified into a roughly equal game. With the tactics resolved, black's bishop simply retreats to e8. Another fantastic, precise move from Caruana. The knight lands on d3, the one and only move to solidify his position and maintain a slight edge. A few more quiet moves from both sides as they probe for weaknesses and prepare for the next phase of the battle. Black pushes the pawn to c6, and this is an inaccuracy. It's a small slip, but it gives Caruana a clear chance to build a significant advantage, and Caruana had a golden opportunity here to punish black's last move and seize control of the game. The winning idea was queen to g4. The bishop has to drop back to d8. Knight to e3 improves the knight, and after pawn to c5, the knight tucks into b2, leaving white with a crushing position. But in the game, Caruana plays the inaccurate knight to b2 right away, missing the powerful queen move and letting Saric completely off the hook. The game is equal again. After the missed chance, Saric creates counterplay by pushing his f-pawn and breaking open the center. The position becomes incredibly sharp and complex. But right here, black makes another costly slip. Queen to b7 looks natural, but it hands the advantage right back to white. A better defense was available. Pawn to h6, knight to d3, queen to d6, knight to g4, pawn to e4. Instead of that, Saric plays queen to b7, and this allows white's knight to find a powerful new home, once again giving Caruana a serious edge. Caruana immediately repositions his knight to the d3 square, while black brings the final rook into the game at e8. And this is the game winner. Caruana plays the brilliant queen to g4. This move initiates a stunning exchange sacrifice that wins a pawn, and launches an unstoppable attack. Black is forced to play bishop takes knight on e3. And after pawn takes bishop on e3, white's attack is overwhelming. Now it's a matter of technique. Caruana cashes in his advantage, winning the pawn on b4 and using his powerful knight on c5 to systematically tighten the screws. White's pieces swarm forward. The pawn pushes to e4, the rook comes to c1, and Caruana prepares the final breakthrough against black's crumbling defense. Under immense pressure, black makes a defensive error with rook to d8. This allows white's central pawns to become an even greater threat, and Caruana simply captures with pawn takes pawn on d5, cranking up the pressure. This desperate pawn push is another mistake that only speeds up the end. A much tougher defense was needed. Pawn to h5, queen to c3, pawn to e4, queen to e3, queen takes pawn on d5. But in the game, black plays the immediate pawn to e4, which just creates fatal weaknesses around the king and allows white to win by force. Caruana's reply is calm and crushing. The rook slides to e3, completely dominating the position. And this is the final decisive error. The queen move to h6 looks active, but it walks straight into a game-ending tactic. The last chance to resist was Bishop to e8, queen to d4, bishop to f7, rook to c3, bishop takes pawn on d5. But back in reality, Saric plays queen to h6, and this allows Caruana to deliver the final blow. The key move? Queen to e1, setting up the devastating finish. A last-ditch effort from black, sacrificing the bishop on f5, but Caruana calmly recaptures and the end is near. Black plays rook takes pawn on d5, hoping to create some confusion. But it's met by the thunderbolt knight takes pawn on e4. A devastating fork on the king and rook, winning a piece and ending the game on the spot. And with that, white wins. Saric resigned immediately. The knight fork wins a full rook, and the position is completely hopeless. What a brilliant, hard-fought victory for Caruana, navigating a sea of tactical complications to come out on top. Rook to d8, knight to g3, queen to b6, king to h1, pawn to h5.